Hello everyone, welcome to Tactica, Imperialis and to today's video. Today is episode 108 of Adeptus Podcastus. It's finally stopped getting weird saying 100 and something in front of the episode number.
I'll just wait till you get to the 110s.
Yeah, fair point. Joining me as always is Remleiz from 40k Theories.
Hello everyone.
And our special guest this week, someone who was on episode 100, albeit slightly late as I recall, but that's absolutely fine. A very, very popular guest from the past. Ladies, gentlemen, Xenos of all ages and everything in between, I give you Adeptus Adamaris, aka Skruffers.
Hello! It's nice to be back. I also get confused with time zones because I exist out of such things.
Yeah,
don't worry, you're not as bad as some
common.
people who somehow thought that the time in Britain was the same as the time in Texas.
Hey, look, Arizona doesn't actually follow time zones, so it actually changes sometimes. So everyone will switch over 1 hour over or 1 hour back, and I don't get to do that, which is...
I think our clocks go back tonight, actually, now that you mentioned it. I think our clocks go back this weekend.
Huh, I don't have to change my schedule like you other plebs.
Of course. Just in case you are someone who the viewers do not know, why don't you give us a little introduction? Who are you, what do you do, and sort of what? You're better at introductions than I am.
Yeah, the way you put that, I was expecting kindergarten cop scenes like, who is your daddy and what does he do?
So
God
I
damn
was
it,
born
Ernest.
in... No, I'm kidding. Yeah, basically, I used to do art for if the Emperor had a text-to-speech device. Haven't really done it for a while, but that's kind of where I got to meet people. Alpha Buse and all that, and they're pretty cool. I mean, other than that, I've done some art for, like, Zora and the Bear, art for Remy over here, and I kind of just exist. I occasionally pop in on people's channels, and that's who I am, I guess.
Fair enough. But yes, one of the old TTS crew, as it were. I think I've got to the point now. I'm kind of glad I've not been on TTS because as much as I've made jokes like, oh well, I should just wait until there's a Farsight thing to be on it. I'm kind of at the point that nowadays I probably shouldn't be on it because that way I can't say anything that gets me memed, which is probably for the best given my current profession.
I mean, you already had been memed. Remember someone did that meme of you as Fabius Bile?
Yeah, but there's a difference between a joking meme and something that is insanely and irrevocably quotable for the rest of time. Almost every line in TTS can be quoted back at you in a memey way. And given my students have already harassed me out of streaming, I think there's a line somewhere.
Touche.
Indeed.
It's true.
But we are where we are, and where we are is at the news. So, in the news this week, this and that, certainly not the biggest week we've ever had, despite the fact there was an online preview jammed right in the middle of it. The Gridiron and Glory online preview that took place about a week ago at the time of recording.
I
Biggest thing from
completely
that,
missed this.
Well, to be fair, it wasn't a 40k or AOS-centric reveal. It was all about the different specialists and sub-games. So the big headline of the thing was the second edition, or the second season, the second season of Blood Bowl, with a new box set with star players, big guys, all of that stuff. So there's a new set of Blood Bowl teams out, including referees and multi-sided boards and seemingly 3D but not actually 3D dugouts, a new rulebook, and all of that good stuff. So Blood Bowl is back just in time for Blood Bowl 3, I suppose.
That's true. I like these new referee models, like the elf and the dwarf. Like, the dwarf just looks like he's saying, what the hell is this shit over here? With his pose.
I mean, it's about fitting.
I have seen someone make a meme of this dwarf already saying, like, minus 10 points for being an elf.
Yeah, you could just imagine like because the elves and dwarves in Warhammer Fantasy have a long and bitter rivalry. For those of you who are more Sigmar rather than Fantasy, they have a lot of rivalry going back a long, long way.
I mean, this dwarf has a book of grudges on his back, so yeah.
Yeah, there will be a lot of bickering, I suspect, between the officials, especially when bribes get involved, which will be fun. But it's good to actually have referee models in plastic. I think it might be the first time. I don't know. Either way, it's just a much more complete Blood Bowl box. Which
because they're in the box set. Yeah.
Yeah. So you get, what do you get? The 2 teams, the 2 star players, the refs, the rules, 2 pitches, and the little balls, as well as the dugouts and the rules and all of that. So it's a really complete set. I have to wonder, though, whether Blood Bowl 3, the video game, will have had access to the Blood Bowl second season rules, or whether that video game is going to be out of date by the day it comes out, because Blood Bowl will have updated to a new rule set.
That would be very ironic. Would that mean that technically the Blood Bowl 3 would technically be Blood Bowl 2 Electric Boogaloo?
Yeah, I suppose it would, actually, now you say it.
Well, Blood Bowl 2 and then Blood Bowl 2 Electric Boogaloo. So we had a Blood Bowl 2, didn't we?
We did. Which is... I don't actually know what rules Blood Bowl 1 and Blood Bowl 2 played by relative to the tabletop rulebook. I don't actually know.
I still wish we'd get a Blood Bowl video game that's more like an actual sports game rather than, a turn-based board game, essentially.
Yeah, you talked about this on a previous episode, sort of like how you want Blood Bowl mode and sports mode.
Basically, have an updated version of Mutant League Football, that's all I asked for. Mutant League Football, that's all I asked for. Because that game was awesome.
What, you don't want to constantly roll dice and just be fearful that, oh no, I went to go pick up the ball. Oh, my character fell over and he died.
I mean, how many times can you have that game on as a video game? You know what I mean?
Well, see, the best way to bond together is to suffer together.
Yeah. Blood Bowl certainly allows for that.
I loved my little ratty boys. I would either get the ball or I would explode.
Possibly both.
Very true.
I got it. I don't got it. I lost my head.
Even I don't understand that reference. Away from Blood Bowl, Warcry has received, alongside Warcry Catacombs, that is on pre-order tomorrow, including those lovely, lovely K-Knight Shadow Stalkers. There are going to be Grand Alliance books to allow every army to actually play Warcry properly, which is a good thing, as well as some new starter boxes for different factions in different Grand Alliances. So Warcry is just, getting more fleshed out, which is a good thing.
That's good.
Because at the minute, you basically played the Warbands of Chaos, or you didn't play it properly because you had like a card pack's worth of rules.
I'm excited to see the Warcry series expand, just because it's like something smaller that you get to play, and it's a little easier for setup rather than, hey guys, let me bring my 15,000 point army. Let's set up on a huge table. Now it's a
absolutely
more acceptable or accessible.
Yeah, things like Warcry, Kill Team, which was actually teased, Kill Team is coming back, and other things are definitely those sort of what GW want to be pick up and play type games. I've not actually played Warcry. I meant to at my old gaming store, obviously before lockdowns or anything like that, but I never got round to it because there just wasn't a warband that I really wanted, and I wasn't playing Chaos. But now that there's the K-Knight Shadow Stalkers who fit in the Daughters of Cain army, I'm really looking forward to giving Warcry a go at some point, once obviously gaming properly starts back up again. I know Warhammer World is reopening soon, but I think it might be a bit of time before I can go down there, because you're supposed to only go with your own household, and I don't live with anyone, so...
But yeah, I did really also like the K-Knight Shadow Stalkers. They look super cool.
And actually, I think I have to give credit to Oculus for this one. There was actually the first version of the article for the War Scrolls for the Shadow Stalkers and the Signs of the Flame had a something that they errated out immediately, and someone caught it and put it in my server, essentially saying that, and I quote, the Shadow Stalkers will find a natural home among their elven kin, the Umbraneth. Now, they don't exist yet, so I think they're Malerians elves. And GW have taken that down quick shot, but someone caught it. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing whatever those are with Malerian Shadow Elves. So thank you. I think it was the Oculus or something like that who found it originally.
Nice.
Nice indeed. I'm really enjoying just painting my Lumineth. I finished my tech list, and I've been painting on my other Lumineth, and it is just so much fun to be back painting elves again. There's just too many of them now. And then there was even more when they revealed in full Diachasm, the Warhammer Underworld Season 4 box with new Slaanesh models and new Lumineth models, including
A samurai.
the best... Yeah, a brilliant female samurai elf, the best Alarith Stone Guard I've ever seen, a meditative mage with a pet owl, and an archer. I want that warband, and I want them now. I really do.
You're like, here's all these descriptions, and by the way, there's just an archer.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, because the thing is, the swordswoman is actually a unique model. There's never been a Lumineth with a sword before, because up to now, well, there have. But realistically, the only swords you've had have been Teclis' sword and a couple of unit champion swords and Eltharion's sword. Your basic Lumineth are armed with spears. So this is actually I think this might be a warrior of a different temple or just a more hero-like model, which is really, really cool because we hadn't seen one of those before. And I've been asking and begging for a beat stick Lumineth model with a sword that isn't the light of Eltharion, but it's a really nice model either way. The Alarith Stone Guard, the one with the cow hat and the massive hammer, just looks absolutely badass. And of course, Pet Owl wins the preview.
No one can say no to a pet owl. Owls are so cute.
No, but you could if you prefer have a Slangor. They refuse to call it a Slangor on the stream. I don't know why. They refuse to call it a Slangor at any time, but it's a Slangor. Slaaneshi Beastmen. First time we've seen a model for them, possibly ever? I don't know. I don't know my old Beastmen well enough.
It's a very long time at the very least.
Absolutely. As well as a couple of models and a really nice hero for the Dread Pageant they're called, that fits in really a nice contrast to the Lord of Pain in the Shadow and Pain box set. And they're, as I say, coming as part of Diachasm. And they're also getting a book, because they always do.
I love how the archer and the spearman for the Slaaneshi Warband are wearing parachute pants.
I mean, it's Slaanesh, and also Teclis does as well.
I mean, they're just ready to start dancing to Can't Touch This.
Absolutely.
Which the Lumineth will go stop Hammer Time.
And speaking of memes, we then got two memes in 30 seconds. We got a striking Scorpion Naruto running and an Avatar of Cain actually killing something.
Was he actually Naruto running?
No, but certainly everyone just joked about it like they were Naruto running.
Oh, I'm disappointed.
I want a whole bunch of them together, and then I'll start playing like the music in the background, and it'll just be all the Naruto music. By the way, that was some pretty good stuff. Just, derailing the conversation.
That's fine. But yeah, it was a look at essentially a lot of the stuff they're doing in the animation studios at the moment. So a bit of another look at Angels of Death, a look at this Eldari animation, which included an avatar of Cain actually killing something for the first time, I think, ever.
Hooray, it did something.
As well as a noir-style thing called Interrogator, a detective story from the perspective of an inquisitorial acolyte.
Yeah, I know me and Stephanie Swan-Coors actually auditioned for voice acting in that. I don't know if...
Oh!
I don't know if she got further in it, but I didn't hear anything back, so I assume I got the role.
Oh.
But, look, she might have gotten, though, because she does good work, so... Fingers crossed.
She definitely does.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah, and finally for that preview was the reveal that Kill Team is back. It was only a teaser trailer right at the end of the preview with some Space Marines getting massacred by some flayed ones in a corridor. But essentially, yes, Kill Team is coming back. I'm not really surprised.
And still using the old 40k logo.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, now that you pointed it out.
Oh, no.
Whoops.
It's fine. I prefer that logo anyway. It looks nicer.
Oh god, yeah. I'm not saying that it's bad that logo is there, but it's also really bad that logo is there.
It's more like an oops, we forgot to change it. Shrug.
Hey, at least the lettering is centered.
Don't
Indeed.
point that out. I was trying to ignore that. Now you've reminded it. You just
You're welcome.
no.
On a more staying on the artistic side of things, the Marneus Calgar comic has hit shelves. I actually missed that this had happened, but yes, the Calgar comic is out now. Issue 1 of 5, available in more than 60 countries worldwide. I'm going to have to see if I can get my hands on this at some point.
I'm probably just going to wait until it comes out as a complete trade paperback or something.
Yeah, I kind of like it when it's a solid book, because at least
As an actual graphic novel, yeah.
yeah, because otherwise it's kind of hard to get all of the pieces. Because listen, I've been collecting comics of vast different types for a long time, and one thing that bothers me is when it's like, oh hey, the next issue has come out. Oh wait, I'm sorry, our shipment didn't have enough, so you didn't get it. So then I'll have spots in my collection, and I'm just like, I don't like that.
Yeah, that's why I waited till when IDW released all the Transformers comics in those big hardback volumes.
Yes.
It's there's 15 volumes in total, and each one's 600 pages long. But it's fucking worth it though.
Those are the best though, because I still have I think I have the first 3 books from More Than Meets the Eye. Just
Yeah.
Gucci stuff.
Did you ever get to the bit with Sunder?
I got up to issue 50. So it's been a hot minute since I read anything from that series. I mean, it's over now, I think. So
it is. Yeah, they've rebooted it to have start a new series completely.
yeah, I haven't been back since. So
But yeah, when you get to the issues with Sunder, this is who Sunder is. Wait till you get to those issues.
What is that, Nagash?
No, Sunder.
I know. Seriously, that really looks like Nagash.
Oh gosh, yeah, okay, yeah, no, I remember that. Oh.
Oh, you remember him? Good.
He's
Yeah.
spooky.
I mean, at least we haven't got to the bit, when Tarantula shrank down and went inside Roadbust's head, then went back to full size and literally exploded out of his head.
Okay, I think we're done with this now.
By the way, this is now a Transformers podcast. Just kidding.
But bringing it back to the Calgar, it was actually a really nice quote that they put up. He's talking to this tech priest. I didn't realize Novathulium was your home planet, my lord. This place was never my home. It's simply where I was from. It's kind of an interesting space marine perspective of leaving your old life behind. I quite like that line. I don't know why.
I prefer the fan edit of that. What is it like? You ever just look at your hands? Fuck, my mouth is dry.
What?
What?
This version.
Oh, it's an edit of the comic.
I was wondering where that was coming from.
What? That sounds like.
I mean, let's be honest. If that was actual dialogue, I think people would not necessarily be adverse to that. They'd be like, "What the hell is this? This is hilarious."
It's more like, what's he on? Can I have some?
So, my lord, you've been at the hallucinogen grenades again, haven't you? No. Now, why am I covered in cockroaches?
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear.
He just kind of opens the grenade just to sniff it. It's just a little sniff. Don't worry about it.
It's like a little snuff box.
Oh my god.
Moving from drawn Space Marines to sculpted Space Marines, we also got a look at one of the next phase for McFarlane. They keep throwing more of these action figures out. So they've revealed a Blood Angels Hellblaster. So they've got the first not basic thing model, which is a really, really nice model. I really like that plasma gun. Plasma incinerator.
It's still a gun that shoots plasma, so it's fine.
Yeah. They're also going to be one, obviously, without paint, and a Sister of Battle without paint as well.
Yeah,
So,
sisters. Sorry, I have a bias.
Absolutely. No, it's completely fair. I mean, I have biases towards Tau and Elves, if you hadn't noticed. So I completely understand.
Well, I mean, lucky you for this month, because it's mostly been elf news. Hooray!
I mean, the last 3 months have just been, oh, hey, here's Lumineth. Hey, here's Canine Shadowstalkers. Hey, here's Shadow and Pain. Hey, here's Broken Realms. Hey, also, by the way, did you know the Umbraneth are a thing that we accidentally slipped into a spoiler? Whoops, gotta take that away. They're just like, okay, I understand you haven't done elves for a while, but good God, man, slow down. I want to collect the balls. Just like, I haven't got the time for this. And Rem, is that a dabbing necron?
Yes, it is.
For the love of...
No, what it is the way that guy's bowing from Dawn of Fire. Remember?
Ah, yes. You've read Dawn of Fire now.
No, I'm only halfway through it, but I did read through Fury of Magnus. We'll be talking about that later. But I did point out a bit like the servant, like leg forward, like arm across chest, other arm out, head down. It's like, is this guy dabbing?
Well, I mean, I guess it would make sense. Years upon years upon years later, nobody really knows what dabbing is, so they assume it's just some salute, I guess. Dabs.
I will say this because a few people have pointed this out. Apparently, the description is of a very old medieval style bow, but if you go by the actual description in the actual passage, frozen and elaborate bow, head low and front leg stuck out, left arm held high and right across his chest. And the fact that the guy winces when he looks as like, oh, for God's sake, that's cringe. You read that description and you think, oh God, this guy's dabbing.
Please get out of that posture before you do yourself an injury, he says.
Especially when you use that description with that Necron picture.
Yeah, it's a thing. It's definitely a thing. I mean, that one snuck past me while I was reading Dawn of Fire, probably because I read at 200 miles an hour. I had to go back and read it a second time before doing the podcast so that I could actually, share any information.
You're telling me that when you read a book, you just start hearing the Green Hills theme song?
Can I go first?
No, but I do read really, really quickly. Like, I've read The Infinite and the Divine this week, and I read it in 2 days.
There you go, Z, you can shut up about it now.
We're going to talk about it later because there is some interesting stuff in there.
Hooray!
But obviously, Fury of Magnus comes first.
Yes. Excuse me.
Back to miniatures. We have Warhammer Day. So Warhammer Day officially is... When's Warhammer Day? Oh, Halloween.
Yeah!
That's my birthday.
So on the 31st of October, it is Warhammer Day. So obviously you can't do what you normally do, but there will be a commemorative miniature, a Terminator Chaplain. See, guys, Firstborn do get the odd miniature now and then.
With a combi flamer.
Yes, a combi flamer and a Crozius. It's actually a pretty nice model, to be fair. It's not my style because I'm not a Marines person in particular. They say, looking at the Chaos Lord that one of their friends sent them because they have to do a new project now. But, details. I'm not a big loyalist Marines sort of aesthetic person, but it's a nice model either way. A bit old school as well. The pose is very old school. Because
arms to the side and pushing forward.
Yeah, why are their arms so wide? They're not looking down the barrel of the gun. They're not actually pointing the Crozius at him. They're just sort of standing there in a come at me bro pose.
Well, yeah, how else?
Because that's what Space Marines do.
I mean, otherwise he's got a T-pose, but I don't think that's too easy to put on a model.
Looks at Techless awkwardly. But yes, I'm looking forward to Warhammer Day since I think it's right at the end of my half term is when Warhammer Day lands. So, I would say I'd normally do a stream. I might do something else, sort of long form talk style content for Warhammer Day since I'm not going to be streaming. But I'll try and at least get something out on that day, which will be good. They also did a guide for how to hobby at home. 6 months a bit too late, but this would have been really useful 6 months ago, G-Dubs, when, everyone went into lockdown. I know people are going back into lockdown in the UK, but this would have been really useful 6 months ago.
Also,
but then you wouldn't be able to promo all your terrain, so never mind.
Also, pre-orders have gone up for the Deathwing Companions from Forge World.
Indeed they have. So these are the new Dark Angels miniatures that were the Deathwing before they became all Terminators. And they've got that weird mix of black and white armour that I still can't get my head around looking nice. It just looks weird to me, I'm sorry.
You're just judging them and their checkerboards. Why you gotta pick on them? They just want their
Not that it's not even that they're checkerboard, like black and white split, like the Howling Griffin's red and yellow split, or the Brazen Claws. It's just higgledy-piggledy. Like one of them's got a white chest plate, one white leg, one white arm, but the other shoulder pad is white with one white leg and one black leg. The other's got two black legs, a black arm, a white arm, white helm, and the other's got a black helm. It's like, there's no consistency.
Listen. They ran out of paint. It was originally supposed to be all white, but then they had to fill it in with something else, because having uncolored ceramite is a little awkward. So, they just had to be creative.
Yeah, we'll go with that. But they're sort of like, as companions, they've actually got the ability to negate the precision shots rule and automatically pass lookout, which is a really nice rule. Particularly, I don't know how Dark Angels play and how important their characters are, but it's still a really nice idea and really thematic to say, hey, you want to snipe off our character? No, I have Deathwing. Which is pretty nice.
I opt to call them the oh goodness, I just forgot. What's the puppy with all the spots on it? It's a white dog and black spots.
Dalmatian.
They should be Dalmatians.
The Emperor's Dalmatians.
You know someone's going to make that now.
Instead of Dark Angels, Dark Dalmatians.
The Dark Dalmatians and the Space Corgis.
See, we're getting every army will have a dog version. We just gotta be creative.
One thing that the will be the Bow Wow.
Oh, would
Yorks will be the Borks.
Would they make them like seals because they're like water puppies?
Sure, why not?
Dear, oh dear, oh dear. What else has there been? Oh, of course, Warhammer Horror submissions. I'd forgotten about this because I don't really do it. But there is, until Warhammer Day on the 31st, just as a reminder, there is the chance for you to write a, 100-word summary and a 500-word sample of your Warhammer horror story, which can be, why are there fireworks going off? Which can either be survival horror, psychological horror, gothic horror, or cosmic horror.
Psychological horror is the best! Sorry. Not sorry.
How about psychological cosmic horror?
Depends on what you really want to do, because you've got AOS or 40k you can write for, so there's plenty of options available. So if that's your thing, then by all means go for it. And there's also 5 new Warhammer horror stories, all set, I believe, in Age of... No, they're not. Some are Age of Sigmar, some are 40k. Not that I could tell which is which by looking at them, because they don't say. But it's a thing you can do if you like reading that sort of thing. I don't.
Get your Halloween on! It's spooky time!
I don't do horror games and I don't do horror literature. It's not my style. It just isn't. I don't know why.
Coward.
Baby.
It's not coward. It's just, I don't like that style because either they're really cliche because it's dead obvious what's going on and you're just banging your head and it's just here's the obvious answer. It's staring you right in the face. Just solve it. Or it's just like, I don't know, creepy isn't... I don't read a book to be creeped out. That's why I don't like Slanesh. I don't read books to be creeped out.
Someone's very passionate.
You should just do a stream of The Seventh Guest. There you go.
The what?
The what?
It's The Seventh Guest. It's an old point-and-click horror puzzle game from like the early 90s. Like one of the first CD-ROM games ever made.
Oh my
And
goodness.
it's known for being quite creepy.
Really?
Yep.
Oh.
Well, I think I'd need a CD-ROM slot for that, and I don't have one.
You can also get it on iOS now as well, so... And things available on Steam as well.
That's awesome. See, I like spooky things because I like screaming like a little baby. So
Yeah, it's on Steam. There you go. You got no excuse.
hooray!
Yeah, so it's not even. It's like £7. There you go.
Oh my gosh.
Not my thing. I'll probably pass, but fair enough.
But it has awesome, cheesy FMV cutscenes as well.
That sounds amazing.
Well, you enjoy that. I'll be looking at all this cool Forge World stuff, like the Mega Bomber, which is just ridiculously huge for Aeronautica Imperialis, and they also updated the War Scroll for the Bone Grinder Gargant, which, oh god, looks just hideous relative to the Mega Gargants. And I'm not a biggest fan of the Mega Gargants if you saw my tier list video on Monday. But we also got, perhaps more importantly, for 40k, the Codex Roadmap. So we know what's coming out when, in essence.
Yes, Space Marines, Chaos Space Marines, Space Marines, and Xenos.
So it's just like when all those movies for all the like superhero stuff is like, we're gonna be planning this for the next years upon years forever.
So, Space Wolves and Death Watch get their supplements in November.
Puppies.
Blood Angels get theirs in December alongside the full Death Guard Codex. And in January will be the Dark Angels and some Xenos that will probably be Orcs or Tyranids, I guess.
It's probably just going to be Gene Stealer cults.
I mean, I'd be okay with that. But in terms of needing new models, is there any faction that needs it because it's got extra models? Tau's got one with Shadow Sun. Orcs have got one with Gazkul. Arguably, they could update the Eldar codices. And to be honest, I think the Craft Worlds need it most. So I'd quite happily go for a Craft Worlds release in January. But, we'll have to see.
I do want to point out that the Space Wolves still have a model from Rogue Trader that's still in circulation.
Isn't that the one for...
Yeah, I'm more meaning models that were released that don't have rules in the Codex at this time. Like, for example...
Yeah, I am talking about a model that's got rules in the Codex.
Isn't it Ragnar Blackmane? Like, he's got a really, really old...
No, he's got a new model now. I'm talking about the Rune Priest and Terminator armor.
Oh my gosh, you're right.
Yeah, Ragnar got Primaris about just before lockdown, actually. In about February, March was when Ragnar Blackmane was Primaris.
Oh, well, no wonder I didn't notice, because I was considered an essential worker.
Doing your cowboying?
No, that was before the cowboying. That was when I was just working on transportation, so that was fun. Can't see my face, because it's real salty right now. Oh my goodness, that Space Wolf is covered in runes.
And that's Rogue Trader era.
Wait, really?
Yes. Admittedly, the tail end of Rogue Trader, but still Rogue Trader nonetheless.
Well, I mean, grats on, like, the painter, because I wouldn't have really, like, pegged it just looking at the picture, but oh my goodness. He can still be a pretty boy, no judge.
Plus, we're still waiting for a brand new Dante model.
Yes.
Because he's so tiny next to the other models these days.
Yeah, definitely. Same with Power Armored Niall Stormcaller, which that was what I thought you were referring to in terms of Rune Priest models. Was Niall,
that's a second edition model.
Yes, it is. Good point. You are correct. But yeah, there's definitely some old models that do need updating, absolutely. But I was more meaning like models that have been released and got like rules, but they're not rules inside the Codex. Things like Shadow Sun, things like Gazkul,
right,
and things like that, because they have rules, but they're all tied up in like Psychic Awakening, and they need to get Psychic Awakening gone as quickly as possible and roll its rules inside the Codex. Well, some of them, they're not going to take them all, but you know.
So it might be Craftworlds next then in that case.
I hope so. I do, because they've got a lot of models that really need an update. Looking at you, most Aspect Warriors.
At least the Banshees got done.
They did indeed. Necromunda has been given Rogue Doc Arachnos, because apparently it was getting too long since we had a Doc Ock reference.
And let's not forget also, at time of recording, tomorrow we also got House of Iron going on pre-order.
Yeah, that's the
Orlok.
Yeah, it's Orlok. I always forget some of the house names. Really bad for it.
I don't know about you guys, but I was hyped about the Wreckers because now you can paint them like Transformers and make Transformer jokes. Because that's what I do. with
Yes.
my time.
You can impact it straight away.
Yeah. Springer was my favorite, though.
I don't know why that Netflix series made Impactor a Decepticons. Like, what? Why? No. Why?
Wait,
Makes no sense.
which series was that?
The War for Cybertron series on Netflix.
Oh
they
my
had
God.
Impactor as one of the Decepticons.
Yeah, I didn't watch that one. I didn't know why'd they do
Well, if
Impactor dirty like that? He's a good boy.
Just wait until you see Edgelord Bumblebee. He's like a proper little edgelord.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that. I was like, oh, Grimlock's there, that's cool. And then I guess I never got to watch it. I never got time to watch it.
Yeah, the overly quote-unquote grimdark Transformers series. And it's just like, you're trying too hard.
Well, no, Transformers Prime was dark.
No, this is like over the top trying to be grimdark. It's like, hey, look at these corpses everywhere, impaled on spikes and stuff.
Wait, really? I remember it's like I saw like the first episode or two.
Yeah.
It wasn't that dark. It was like, oh, hey, we're gonna go do stuff. Or maybe I'm thinking of a different series.
I think you probably are thinking of a different series.
Oh, no!
And people being constantly bisected and stuff like that as well.
Well,
Because why not?
were they trying to be dark like the comics?
Probably. Oh, and you've got the grimdark Ultra Magnus as well, with his little fucking cloak.
No one will know who I am. No one, as I have giant shoulders and everything else is exposed, but I got tiny, tiny baby green eyes.
Also, are people still setting off fireworks where you are?
Yeah, I don't really get it. I don't get it at all. It's the 23rd of October. Like,
Is it a religious holiday for someone?
I don't think so. But it's only been like 5 in the past hour, so it's not like they're going off on a consistent basis. It's only been 5 in the past hour. It's
You
weird.
should stick your head out the window, go like, "Whoa, America!"
It's the 23rd today, isn't it?
It is. Yes. But anyway, since you mentioned like emo edgelord hooded Magnus, why don't we talk about Fury of Magnus? That's a good segue.
I was going to say it could be because it's coming up to Dasera, if I pronounce that correctly, Hindu holiday, which is on Sunday apparently. So maybe it's coming up to that. I don't know.
Some of
Possibly.
their celebrations go on
Possibly.
more than one day. They're very
True.
celebratory, from what I know.
Yes, Fury of Magnus. Yeah, you might want to put a spoiler warning up.
Yep.
Spoilers!
Spoiler warning begins now.
Yeah, because there is a lot to take in on this one. Like, should I just go ahead with the biggest bloody spoiler?
It's up to you. If you'd rather do plot synopsis or spoilers, it's up to you how you want to do it. The spoiler warning is in.
Spoiler warning. In effect.
I'll start with a plot synopsis then. So basically, Magnus has discovered that there's like a weakness in the Emperor's magical psychic shield that's preventing the demon primates from entering the palace. And it's like, ooh, there's something here, and I think I can get the last piece of my soul because I can sense the last part of my soul in here, even though the last part of his soul has gone. But the person who housed the last piece of his soul briefly, I forgot his bloody name, like Emil Gelden or something like that. Is one of the characters from Crimson King. He's there.
Lemuel Gowan?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
We're gonna call him Lammy.
But essentially, Malkador is essentially baiting a trap for Magnus.
Even though Malkador's supposed to be on Titan right now.
No, he's not on Titan yet. No, because well, how can he be on Titan? Because Malkador's supposed to be holding the Golden Throne for the Emperor when the Emperor goes to the Vengeful Spirit.
Oh yeah, duh. Sorry, ignore that. Carry on.
He's doing 5D chess. You don't have to be there when the plan is already in place. Just as planned.
Exactly. But anyway, Olivia Soreka, a perpetual who was left on Molech by the Emperor when the Emperor went through the Chaos Gate and got his powers from the Chaos Guards. Yeah, an ancient spoiler from Vengeful Spirit. If you don't know that spoiler, then it's been a while. Tough shit. But she's basically on Terror as well, and she's basically been drawn into this meeting with Malcador, a bunch of Space Wolves from Tra, basically one of the Watch Packs.
Puppies.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they're basically springing a trap for Magnus because Malcador wants to try and bring Magnus back over onto the Loyalist side by offering forgiveness.
Okay, I'm locked in. Go on.
Now, in the interim, as they're discussing this plan, the three salamanders that accompanied Vulcan in Old Earth, they're currently helping reinforce the human defenders, blah, blah, blah. And they see Magnus. Well, they don't see Magnus. They see the results of what Magnus does to one of the walls. Because Magnus picks up a capital Imperialis that is just about to explode, encapsulates it within a bubble of frozen time, lifts it up the ground, throws it at the wall, and as soon as it hits the wall, unfreezes the time bubble to basically create a huge nuclear explosion. Boom.
As you do.
As you do. Now, the Thousand Suns are briefly driven off, because when the Salamanders arrive, the Space Wolves arrive shortly after, and there's a Rune Priest, and basically says, I'll use the power of Fenris, even though I'm here on Earth, but the power of Earth is strong, and you will give me the power of Nocturne as well, because we will join forces of fire and ice, blah, blah, blah. Creates a big ice wolf and fire dragon, attacks Magnus. I know this sounds incredibly insane, but yes, this pretty much happens.
Sounds awesome. This is like DBZ level of like, ha!
Pretty much, yeah. And it gets to the point where Magnus is actually hurt by this attack and is driven off. The Space Wolf basically wants to I want to keep pressing the attack because it's hurting him, I'm going to do this. And Simon's like, okay, dude, you got to stop now. You got to kill us both. Nah, it's good. No, dude, seriously, stop. Nah, just a little bit more. So Sam literally just picks up the chainsaw and just cuts the Space Wolf's arm off. Go, dude, I said no. He's like, oh, okay.
I mean, that's in character for the Salamanders. Like, no, we will hold this position. We must hold this position. That's it reminds me of Hell's Reach, actually.
I'm sorry, it's just, okay, bro, you need to stop. Okay, you're not going to stop. Let me cut your arm off. I was like, what?
Yeah, although I'd love to see that Space Wolf try and kill Magnus with a little bit of psychic power invoking a Fire Ice Dragon. I'd like to see them try. I know they were hurting him, but I'd like to see them try and kill him.
Well, of course they're gonna try. Magnus is right there.
And
you
fail.
gotta punch him. You gotta. Magnus did do something wrong.
I do not
Punch.
apologise for my absolute shade throwing at the Space Wolves last episode. I don't like the Space Wolves. I never have.
Don't bully my puppies!
I'm not bullying them. I just don't like them, so I'll throw shade at them whenever I want. Thank you very much.
I'm gonna go find things about Tau just to throw shade over you.
I mean,
in case you're wondering what the Fire Dragon Ice Wolf thing was like, this is literally the scene.
He just put his hand on the other guy, like, bro, you gotta stop, bro.
It's a symbol of our unity, blah blah blah. But anyway, we cut forward a little bit later on, and Magnus and a few other Thousand Sons, including Araman, Aemon, someone else, I've forgotten their names. They're unimportant.
These other two people.
They psychically disguise themselves as blood angels.
what?
They basically Magnus casts basically a glimmer over them to make everyone who looks at them think that they're blood angels, so they can walk inside this weak point in the palace, which the weak point that Magnus detected earlier, to avoid the Emperor's detection. Araman's basically telepathically says to Magnus, don't you think this is a bit risky? And Magnus says, talk with your normal voice, please, because if you use your psychic voice, the Emperor might detect it. So normal voices, please. So, oh, sorry, okay. Don't you think this is a bad idea? Nah, it's fine. So they're going past all these refugees, and they're basically going towards the entrance of the Imperial dungeon. Now, as they're doing this, a bunch of traitor aircraft have noticed that there's a gap in the shield above there, and so basically they're launching an assault at the same time to try to do a bombing run.
while the Thousand Sons are still stood there.
Well, this one group of Thousand Sons are snuck in, because the rest of the Thousand Sons are basically, regrouped with the rest of the traitors at this point.
I'm gonna be honest with you, for about, maybe half of that explanation, I was imagining Blood Ravens, not Blood Angels, and I don't know why.
Oh, let's not go into that discussion. But these traitor gunships, they're basically trying to do their bombing run. Most of them get shot down. One of them gets shot and is basically tumbling towards where these refugees are in this tower. And so it decides to unleash its payload of its Phosphex bombs.
Dude.
Now, pretty much everyone there is like, oh fuck, we're all going to die. Magnus and the others are about to head down, but just as they do, Magnus pauses, he turns round, he drops the glimmer, orders for his sons to help him, and they save the refugees.
Hey, good guy, Magnus.
Yes, and everyone's like, oh, thank you, my lord. Yeah, as you do. And then they end up going down underground into this pathway that's described as being existing outside the boundaries of time. Like, all strands of time flow weirdly around it, so you have to stick on your path, because if you don't, you will get lost in time. Literally. Forever.
Of course, thanks to the Imperial Palace for being even more weird with the laws of physics.
As you do.
It's magic.
So as Magnus and the others traverse through this place, they reach, if you ever read Deliverance Lost, you know where Korax visits the Primarch's villas? Yeah? So,
yeah, that's why he's hunting for the gene seed to make the raptors, isn't it?
It's before then. But yeah, it's basically when he's just riding on Terra. Basically, you got all the Primarch's villas. They arrive at the villas, and they see, in the centre, just by the lake, they see Malcador and Olivia Soraka sitting there with a game of regicide sitting on a table. And Malcador says, "Hello, Magnus. Welcome home." And that word basically sends a knife through Magnus' chest, "Oh, you bastard! You had to say that, didn't you?"
Yeah. I can imagine why that would annoy / upset Magnus. Yeah.
Plot twist.
Yeah. So they end up having this conversation where Malcador is basically offering, Magnus a chance for forgiveness, a chance to come back to the loyalist side. Things get heated. I won't go into the specifics of the actual conversation, but the argument gets really intense. Magnus basically grabs Malcador by the throat and starts choking him. Olivia Soraka is saying something. He's shouting at her. Then he's shouting at his sons. Then there's a scream. He looks at Malcador. Malcador is dead. Malcador had all the flesh melted from his body and is literally nothing more than a charred skeleton.
Reminder, this is the Malcador who force-choked Horus to near death, correct?
Yes.
Wait, so you're saying that Magnus did that? Or that he was always that way?
I feel like there's a plot twist coming in about 20 seconds, so...
Not yet, no. And then Olivia Soraya gets shot by one of the nameless Thousand Sons. Well, he has a name, but I've forgotten it. It doesn't matter.
He's not Araman, so he's not important.
It's not Araman, it's not Aemon, therefore they don't matter. But since Magnus has killed Malcador, Magnus is like, oh shit, what the fuck have I done? That was Uncle Malcador. Olivia Soraya gets shot.
Does he actually say the term Uncle Malcador?
No.
To check.
I don't think he also said oh shit either in the book.
No. The only problem who's ever said shit was Jagatai. Anyway.
Yes.
Then Olivia gets shot. He turns to that Thousand Sons and says, I told you, no shooting anyone without my order. Yeah, but then Magnus basically clicks his fingers and every single atom in that Thousand Sons body explodes.
Oh, that's lovely. Yeah,
Popped
ow.
like a ripe watermelon at the atomic level.
Less pop, more disintegrate.
Yeah. And so it's like, Araman's like, okay, what now? It's like, well, what do you think we're going to do? We're going to kill my dad. So,
Of course, we're going to kill the Emperor.
Yeah. So they make their way into the into the throne room itself. They see the Emperor on the golden throne. Actually, no, before that, sorry. They go into an elevator that was hidden, because it's like, we don't know where this elevator come from. Fuck it, let's go inside it. So they end up coming into this big corridor, which is like Malcador's personal museum, because all these ancient trinkets and devices and artifacts.
Yeah, that's where it is. I've seen a piece of fan art where it's like the Mona Lisa's in there. I don't know if that's like canon or anything, but...
I think Fulgrim has that.
Fair enough.
From what I've heard, anyway.
Somehow
and
the thing
Araman
got
and
integrated. Sorry.
And Araman and Amon are like, what are these things? And then someone at the end of the hallway says, oh, that's such and such, and it's from this. They train their guns on it. It's someone who's the size of a space marine. Who is it? Who are you? My name is Revelation.
Okay. That's a reference.
Yeah. If you've read The Last Church, you know what that is.
Yeah.
I'll let you explain Last Church then.
Yeah, so that if you watched If the Emperor Had a Podcast 1, Revelation is the name given to the Emperor, or that the Emperor uses for himself in his conversation with the last Priest of Terror. Am I right?
Yep. And
so is this like an avatar of the Emperor? What?
It is an avatar of the Emperor. Yes.
Oh God.
Him and Magnus are having a conversation. They go into the throne room together. They're still having a conversation. Emperor's basically saying like, we were all of us were wrong. We were all played. Come back to us. Blah blah blah. Magnus gets upset. Because it's Magnus. The Emperor. Revelation then basically says like, if you come back to us, we'll give you an entire new legion.
Wait, but does Magnus know that is a part of the Emperor, or is he just like, I'm talking?
Yes, he's aware. Okay. He's aware.
So I'm like,
the Emperor says we will give you a new legion. What about the 1,000 Sons? They're beyond redemption. The flesh change basically makes them fucked. They're damned either way. So we're going to scrap them and start again.
Why didn't you just do that in the Crusade then?
And it's basically implying that the Grey Knights were intended to be Magnus's legion should Magnus have ever turned back to the Loyalist side.
What? What?
Not stated, but basically like the Grey Knights were supposed to be under Magnus's command is basically what's implied. Not overtly, but like kind of like you read between the lines, because like, an entirely new legion, and basically when the Grey Knights were initially founded, it was pretty much an entire legion's worth of warriors.
Though, when we read between the lines, we think of Magnus as the Great Golden Throne Battery, so...
That as well, yes.
I mean, if he's that strong, maybe he could just do, like, mental phone calls. He doesn't need to physically be there, I don't think.
It's
you can imagine a contract negotiation, like, okay, Magnus, we're going to negotiate here your transfer back to the Loyalist side. So, in return for the dissolution of your legion and being put onto the Golden Throne for the rest of the time to serve as a psychic battery, you're going to get some Space Marines that are going to not really be yours, but they're officially yours, and yet also that's...
It's not only that as well. The Emperor then shows Magnus a vision of what could have been.
So he like the if Magnus didn't cock it up.
Basically, if you didn't fuck up, this is what would have happened. You would have seen, the last world in the galaxy being brought under Imperial rule of compliance. You would see Guilliman, orchestrating all this bureaucracy. You would see Magnus sitting on the golden throne, his face serene and peaceful as his spirit explores the immaterium. And the Emperor says, this can still happen if you come back. The Emperor's basically offering a chance to forgive Magnus. But Magnus basically says, I will not abandon my sons, no. And then he prepares to attack. Then he destroys Revelation, the Avatar, and he walks up the steps towards the Emperor himself. The Emperor's basically like, his eyes closed, he's in pain, he's concentrating on the Golden Throne. Magnus basically takes his staff, turns it into molten lava, prepares to throw it with tear in his eye, says, and I quote, "You are the only one that I ever loved."
No.
Is about to throw it. Wham! Vulcan shows up.
What?
Because remember, Vulcan was in the throne room as well, defending the Webway Gate.
Okay, let's just rewind 2 minutes.
Yeah, that's a lot of...
Let's just rewind a sec to, the Emperor is demonstrably lying.
Yes.
It's not. I could see that if Magnus didn't screw up, here's what happens. Lorgar turns Horus, turns everyone. The burning of Prosperos doesn't happen, but all that changes is Istvan 3 goes off and no one notices. That's the difference. Essentially, Istvan 3 happens and Istvan 5 still happens. The only difference is that the Space Wolves are stronger and the Thousand Suns are still there.
Well,
The heresy still happens.
but then the heresy would have had an easier time actually getting shut down rather than how it played out.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The heresy would have been a more convincing imperial victory, don't get me wrong. But the last world being brought to compliance, serene peace... No. The Emperor is lying.
And
Well, no, on the
died.
other hand, like, that would mean that the huge website that the Emperor was working on, one, would actually be completed so they wouldn't have to go through, basically hell every time they want to transport something or fly somewhere. So maybe it would have been easier to actually get anywhere and do things.
I do want to point there's still a lot more to talk about. A lot more.
Okay, so just to finish off, the last thing the Emperor says, this can still happen. At that point, he's definitely lying. But anyway, I'll leave it there. Vulcan shows up, smash Magnus. I'm guessing Magnus gets another Prospero done to him.
Not quite. Vulcan shows up, Magnus is like, oh, shit. It's like, hello, brother. I would embrace you, but we're on a different side. But anyway, Vulcan tries to convince Magnus to join the Emperor as well. In case you come back to us, like, you were my brother, Magnus. You can still be my brother. So Vulcan's appealing to Magnus's reason. The Space Wolves then turn up in the throne room as well. This leads to a firefight between the Space Wolves and the Thousand Suns. And Salamanders have also turned up alongside with the Space Wolves as well. Because, the Salamanders are basically going up the steps to try and meet with their father. Because, as you would.
As you do.
Wait, I just like this fact that no one has really been in the throne room for ages, and then suddenly everybody's just having a party over here.
Pretty much, yeah. Magnus and Vulcan talk. Talks break down. They end up getting into a fight, as you do. For a time, Magnus is beating Vulcan pretty badly. Like, he ends up using his powers to basically, rip chunks of machinery off the wall and create chains that would basically drag Vulcan down. The Salamanders join in, because, of course, you can't make it a fair fucking fight. Magnus is basically about to bisect Vulcan with his spear. One of the Salamanders tackles Vulcan so hard that it knocks Vulcan out of the way just enough that he gets bisected. And Magnus was like, oh crap, I didn't mean to do that. This pisses Vulcan off so hard that Vulcan... You know that scene from The Simpsons, stop, he's already dead?
Yeah.
Pretty much that. No joke, he beats the shit out of Magnus so hard that to survive, Magnus ascends to demonhood.
In the Golden Throne Room. Let
me explain. He is dying. He basically makes his pact with Tzeentch, wordlessly, to survive. And as soon as he ascends to demonhood, he is banished from the Golden Throne. He is banished from the room.
But how was Tzeentch able to even get its presence in there to give him the power anyway? The Emperor's right cocking there.
God knows. Don't forget, Tzeentch already had his claws in Magnus, figuratively speaking. It's just that Magnus, because of his incomplete state, still had part of him still linked to the physical world, as opposed to giving himself purely to the immaterium. That's why he was still somewhat, quote-unquote, redeemable in the Emperor's eyes, because he hadn't given himself over to chaos completely.
I'm not questioning Magnus being in the throne room. I'm not questioning that. I'm questioning Tzeentch being able to get its power into the throne room. That's what I'm questioning.
I think it's due to the fact that this is completely foobar and what you would call an absolute shit show.
Also, how the hell have Ahriman and Armon not died? Just as a side note, how are they still alive?
I will say this. Ahriman gets the shit kicked out of him super hard, and he is close to death as well. Literally, he has his skull pretty much partially caved in.
Good.
He does kill a space wolf in the process, though. A space wolf who describes having extremely bad breath.
Good.
You got doggy
But
breath.
when Magnus was banished from the throne room, the Thousand Sons were banished with him. Because plot convenience, I suppose.
Yeah.
Then we cut back to Olivia Soraka, who's basically healed from her wounds because she's a perpetual.
Yeah, fine.
And she's like, okay, what the fuck happened? It's like, oh yeah, I got shot. Ah, fuck, Malcador's dead. What the fuck do I do now? So basically, she drags Malcador's skeleton out of the lake, which is basically because it was like partially drifting off. Drags out the lake, pulls up.
They're in a lake?
Malcador's still dead. And essentially, she sacrifices her life and perpetuality to resurrect Malcador. So,
What?
Malcador died, but he got better.
I heard that
Apparently you can,
John Grammaticus gave up his perpetuality to give Vulcan his back when he stabbed Vulcan with an Athame dagger. It's not just that you can just channel your life force and perpetuality into some bloke who died probably hours ago and is a skeleton. What?
I mean, in fairness, she was also described as being a psyker.
Yeah, but there's overpowered and then there's... That... What?
Now, when she was dead, prior to her coming back from the bolt around, she was basically in a dreamlike state, and she did speak with the Emperor briefly, and she's like, I always hated you. It's like, I know, I'm sorry. I need you to do this for me. It's like, my service to you is over. I know, but I need you to do this anyway. So it's like, it's kind of implied like the Emperor gave her the ability to do so, or something. It's...
God.
It's done in a very, very poetic way, which doesn't really translate well to being explained. It's just basically more of just like, yeah, she sacrificed her perpetuality and life to resurrect Malcador.
Right. Okay.
It'll make more sense when you read it, I'll say that, because it doesn't translate well to explain, because, again, it's explained in a very poetic, artsy way, rather than just flat out told.
Right.
I'm more impressed that somehow Malcador legitimately died. I thought it would have been like, haha, I was just using a projection. I am actually, like, somewhere else. No, he literally got choked out and toasted like a marshmallow.
Yeah. He got ghost rided.
Okay, are we at the end yet, or have we, how much more nonsense can this book throw at us?
No, that's pretty much the end now. It just ends pretty much with a shot of like Malcador staring into a mirror representative of his soul, but it's still cracked and there's still a piece missing. Because like, hey, guess what? James has still got your soul, bitch.
Okay, so in summary, Magnus had a chance to turn back, but the Emperor was demonstrably, possibly lying, and he was too loyal to the Thousand Sons, so he said no. Then he went to kill the Emperor. Vulcan basically killed him, so he turned into a demon and got kicked out. Meanwhile, Malcador gets freaking psycho-toasted to death and is resurrected by the sacrifice of a perpetual channeling their own life force and perpetuality into him, which should really make him a perpetual, but no, apparently not. And have I missed anything?
No, that's the basic gist of it.
So it just teases like, Magnus is a good guy, Magnus is a good guy. Magnus is too good of a guy to turn back to the loyalists like Magnus is a bad guy.
Magnus is too good to not be bad to be good, and then dies to be bad.
I'll tell you what this is. Magnus is 2009 era John Cena. He was a good guy to such an extreme degree, he was basically a bad guy in everyone's eyes.
Well,
That
I
makes
thought
sense?
the whole point
Yeah,
of his character is more like he's like he has good intention, at least like everything up until, his fall. He was intending to be a good person, intending to find knowledge, intending to help the Emperor, and then it all just fell apart because he was a bit arrogant and wouldn't listen.
And don't forget, what's that old saying? The road to hell was paved with good intentions.
Exactly. So maybe that's just like he intends to be a good person. At least like his still like not corrupted side was all about doing the right thing in a sense. I mean, I know he's done a whole bunch of not right, but you get what I'm saying.
And in the end, really, the only time that Magnus truly snaps is actually at the point of the rubric. And actually, the point of the rubric actually really makes more sense when you look at it that way. Because in the Thousand Sons Codex, for example, it talks about how Magnus mourned the loss of his legion above perhaps anything else. The first time he truly lost it was when the Thousand Sons were rubriced. And given that we now know he was offered a new legion and chose to stay by the Thousand Sons, even though he knew they were apparently screwed, he must be thinking, oh, for God's sake.
After all I've done for you, Araman, this is how you repay me, for fuck's sake. Little shit.
Literally, we could have had a new legion, and we could have led a new legion on the Emperor's side, but no! I had to be too principled for that, and then you went and ruined it with your rubric of nonsense.
I mean, it shows that the last shred of decency that he had, he couldn't. It was still there. Now it's gone. He's a demon now.
I think I've died.
I guess it's just showing kind of a tragedy that if things had slightly played different, pretty much everything in his whole life, he would have been a good person.
Now, I will say this. This is a much better story than Sons of the Selenar by a country mile. By a country mile. I will say
75% more mind flip, but
it's also longer than Sons of the Selenar as well by quite a bit as well.
Fair enough.
But yeah, if you want a story with giant ice wolves, fire dragons, Magnus being a good guy, and Magnus being so good he's actually a dumb fuck bad guy, and having a scene with Vulcan beating the living shit out of him, and there someone says, "Stop, he's already dead." Wolf, he's now a demon prince. Then yeah, this is for you. And Malkador fucking dies. Because he
dies,
apparently.
but not really.
Like seriously, like when he died, I initially thought, oh, they're really going to go with the fucking, he's a perpetual route. No, he stayed dead until the perpetual resurrected him by sacrificing her perpetuality. So it's like, oh, so he wasn't a perpetual. Is he a perpetual now? Probably not, because he dies on the Golden Throne.
Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba.
I will say this. It still makes more bloody sense than anything regarding the Emperor's sword. Because
just before, are we done with Fury of Magnus about the closing spoilers?
Yes.
Okay, welcome back, spoiler people. You missed a heck of a lot. Carrying on, where were you?
Right, so yeah, talking about the Emperor's sword briefly, because this is how I noticed in Dawn of Fire, or Avenging Sunrise, because Dawn of Fire is a series technically. But there's a scene with the white.
Not really a spoiler.
Wait, is it?
No.
Isn't that still going to be spoilers? Do we still need the spoiler pickup?
We discussed it. We discussed it a few episodes ago, and it's been out now over a month. So I think generally this is considered fair game. Also, it's such a minor point. It's just more of a.
It's nothing to do with the story. It's more in regards to the observational information more than anything else.
Okay, put fair
the white
game
console,
on the screen then instead of. Never mind. I forgot words. Go ahead.
So the White Console basically talks about how when he saw Gilliman when he was in stasis, Gilliman had the Emperor's sword across his lap. Even though in Dark Imperium, which Guy also wrote, Gilliman got the Emperor's sword after meeting with the Emperor. Even though in Rise of the Primarch, he got the Emperor's sword when he was healed by Calling of Rain, because that came along with the Armour of Fate. It's like, which one is it? Like, I'll admit, the one from Dark Imperium, to me, it makes the most sense. Like, get the Emperor's sword from the Emperor himself. That makes the most bloody sense to me. Because, how the hell would he have gotten the Emperor's sword while he was in stasis, considering he was put in stasis pretty much immediately after Fulgrim slit his throat? Like, do they just turn off the thing? It's like, hang on, I'm going to turn this off for 10 seconds, put this on the lap, turn it back on. It's like, oh, he's dead now, completely.
Yeah, and the Rise of the Primarch argument, because obviously Gilliman is around for a few decades before he does die. So maybe he took up the Emperor's sword and gave it to Call as an emergency.
Yeah, so I was going to say, in Dark Imperium, when he's fighting Fulgrim, he's using a Power Fist and his Power Gladius. He's not using the Emperor's sword.
Maybe he gave it to Call.
And it literally says in Dark Imperium, when he met with the Emperor, he saw the Emperor's sword lying across his father's knee, and he took it up.
Ah.
Are we playing,
He literally got after me with the
instead
Emperor.
of Where's Waldo, it's Where's the Emperor's Sword?
And unfortunately, this is the same author. This isn't a case of just different author intentions. This is an author forgetting their own canon.
Yeah, again, if the free interpretations of the Emperor's Sword were from 3 different authors, you could forgive it. It'd be annoying as hell, but you could still forgive it, because different authors, they don't necessarily communicate. But when 2 of them are from the same author, it is a little bit of a piss take at times. But hey. So, you've been reading The Infinite and Divine, the gay Necron romance novel.
Yes. It's not actually like that particularly at all. But yes, I have been reading The Infinite and the Divine by Robert Rath, the novel about Trazyn and Orican. So, new spoiler section. It only came out like 2 weeks ago, therefore definitely need spoilers. Thank you.
All I know is that Trazyn gets eaten by a dinosaur.
This book is hilarious. This book is actually hilarious. And Robert Rath does a really good job of characterizing Trazyn and Orican. The book follows a simple plot. There is a MacGuffin. Trazyn has the MacGuffin. Orican steals the MacGuffin. Rinse and repeat for 30,000 years. Well, no, not 30, 10,000 years.
Okay, I'm now imagining the scene from Scooby-Doo, with the corridor, all the doors.
There's a little bit of chicanery, but essentially it just is a really good way of showing off the different abilities of Orican and Trazyn. It starts off with Trazyn getting eaten by a dinosaur, which you mentioned in the previous episode. But essentially, there is a MacGuffin. Trazyn takes the MacGuffin for his museum to put into the War in Heaven exhibit, because it's Necron-Tier-old. And it all revolves around the legend of this Necron-Tier lord who refused and rebelled against biotransference. He was known as the Untouched and was never transferred. And apparently his tomb was sealed away by his master Cryptek, and this MacGuffin, through his and Orican's research independently, the MacGuffin is a lock key to open up the tomb on this maiden world.
Are you telling me that there's a McMuffin that opens a gate, but you're telling me that 10,000 years of everybody borrowing this key, no one decided to open it?
You see, the gate can only open every now and then. It's all time-locked and everything else.
Yes, time-gated, like World of Warcraft.
It's time-gated and revolving around solving the puzzle of the lock, and also revolving around, being in the right place at the right time for the MacGuffin to open the key. Anyway, so Orican steals the MacGuffin from Trazyn's museum. And that involves basically the entire War of Heaven exhibit getting smashed. And Trazyn's like, hey, if I give you the MacGuffin, will you fix it? Yes. But to do that, I'd have to wipe your memory of this deal being made, because I have to rewind time. So actually, no, bye, yoink, I'm off. Orican is a dick. So Trazyn, I shit you not, puts Orican on trial.
What? Wait, but if there's time shenanigans, is there a way to really prove it?
But you see. So, yes and no. Trazyn has a piece of Orican's headdress, or his Cryptek technology. And so every time Orican rewinds time to change the outcome of the trial, this thing starts glowing. So it shows to Trazyn, hang on, there's some nonsense happening here. I don't know what's happening, because his memory keeps getting wiped with every reset. It's like, there is some nonsense happening. Eventually, Orican rewinds time enough times to get the outcome he wants, which is, hey, it's fair game. It's not Trazyn's. It's not anyone's by right. I haven't done anything with it. It's fair game. Whoever wants it can have it. You can kill over it even. And eventually, Orican cracks it and goes to open it. Unfortunately, it goes a bit wrong because he lets loose a destroyer plague on the maiden world in question, among other things, and essentially they miss their window.
Which destroyer plague?
COVID onto the planet.
No, as in like a plague of Necron destroyers.
I was gonna say is like there's a destroyer plague. That was what Typhus had.
No, as in like actual Necron destroyers. Sorry.
Right. Okay. I was going to
I
say,
thought
it's
you were
like
saying that they release.
the
I thought you
infinite,
saying they released COVID onto the planet.
the infinite divine Gestine
8,000 years
Titus.
back. So after they fail to open the tomb, actually, correction, they open it and then miss their window by burying it and fighting each other to a standstill. The Necron Council intervenes and says, no, the Executioner will supervise this project. You are going to work together to crack it. You must work together to crack it, and you will be there together when it opens.
They're put into the "we have to get along" shirt.
Yeah, so you got 5,000 years, you can go do your own dynastic business, because one's Sautek, one's Nearlark. Then you've got 1,000 years, you're going to come back together and work on this project in order to crack the gate. Trazeen unleashes a Gene Stealer on Orican to try and kill him, like an idiot. That leads to the world destruction later, because the world is prophesized by Orican to be destroyed around the time that the tomb next opens. Now, in the end, this is because Trazeen unleashed the Gene Stealer to try and kill Orican, which led to a Gene Stealer cult, which led to an uprising, which led to an Exterminatus, but we don't learn that until a little bit later. Anyway, they eventually work it out, and they get the tomb complex open. By the way, it's joke a minute, this book, but I'm skipping over most of it. They get the tomb open for this Necron tier, and they go in, and it's the Deceiver.
Hey-oh.
So the Cryptek whispering to Orican about how to unlock her secrets, that was the Deceiver. All the things like willing Trazeen to keep coming back and coming back and coming back to this project and this world, yeah, that was the Deceiver. In fact, it's about 5 shards worth of the Deceiver.
So basically you're saying that Trazyn got catfished?
Both of them did. In essence.
Did they catfish each other, though?
No, the Deceiver got them both.
The Deceiver deceived them. Whoa!
So now it turns from, hey, we want to get this Necron tier tomb open, which was never actually a thing, it was all a ploy by the Deceiver. But it turns to, right, we now need to stop the Deceiver, about 5 shards worth of the Deceiver, from breaking out. Cue Trazeen opening every Tesseract labyrinth known to anything.
Are you telling us that the McMuffin was the friends we made along the way?
No, the MacGuffin was the portal to allow the Deceiver to escape. And 5 Catan shards loose at once is a bad thing. So Trazeen unleashes his army from Tesseract Labyrinths. Orican essentially has to play Doomsday Arc Pilot and Army General by, splitting his consciousness to control all the armies at once, while Trazeen solos the Deceiver. Not even kidding.
Is he T-posing, though? He needs to T-pose. That's the only way to show dominance.
He's not techless.
Anyway, through many shenanigans and time resets if you're Orican, and Tesseract Labyrinths if you're Trazeen, they eventually manage to win. And despite sacrificing all the original Exodites with the dinosaur that killed Trazeen 10,000 years ago, because they were in a labyrinth, and also unleashing the Imperial Guard armies that were stationed on the world before it got exterminated, because Trazeen kept those in a labyrinth for a rainy day, among other things, they win. And essentially, Trazeen pulls a Mechanicus from the War of the Beast and doesn't destroy the thing he was supposed to destroy, and instead keeps the Deceiver shard on display. Where he occasionally feeds it shards of itself for information. So
he's got 2 Catan now.
He just puts it in a little display case, hey, it's just a shard of the Deceiver, no big deal.
It's more like a chain shard that's sentient and alive and talking the entire time.
Is it talking to the other one then? Because I know in Clone Lord he said he was supposed to have a Catan shard at the centre of Solomance, wasn't he?
This might well be the same shard.
When does this story take place?
The story
starts back in the Heresy and ends near to the modern day.
Right, because he was described as having a Catan shard from what I can recall in Clone Lord, and that was around M37?
Okay, it's after that. Meanwhile, Orican's like, right, it's fair game again. Let's kill Trazeen. End. I have done a disservice to the book in how I've just described it, but that's your basic plot synopsis. It's a MacGuffin including Trazeen the Infinite Ace Attorney, and also more comedy and self-fulfilling prophecies and murder, deception, murder, more murder, and backstabbing and more murder, and Catan.
I don't know about you, but that sounds like the best description.
It's really, really good.
You said Trazeen Ace Attorney. Does he shout objection?
No, but he basically says to his cryptech attendant, get me all the books on dynastic codes. We're going to have a trial. And puts Orican on trial. And all of this. Which is
objection.
Awesome.
It is... I've done a disservice to it in just trying to sum it up. It's really, really, really good. I'm not going to sit here and say it's my favourite Black Library book of all time, like certain people, but that's because I have very heavy biases towards Hell's Reach as my first piece of Black Library literature ever, and toward Farsight because, well, me. But if you are a fan of Necrons, I can understand why this is your favourite. Or if it's one of the first books you've read, I can understand why it will remain one of your favourites, because it is hilarious and making jokes throughout. It never takes itself seriously, even during the Apocalypse Deceiver moments and the Exterminatus. Literally, Orican and Trazeen are watching a human opera performance and just remarking like Trazeen's obsession with local cultures and with preserving the past while Orican looks to the future. Also, we get to see the first appearance of Orican the Ascended, where he basically kicks the ever-loving bejesus out of the Deceiver in his ascended form as an energy god. He's ridiculous.
Wait, so he goes full-blown Super Saiyan?
So all the way back to 5th edition, Orican the Divine has had the ability... has had the ability to transcend when the stars align into an empowered form, kind of like Lorgar does in the Heresy game. And this is that. He transcends into a being of pure energy and kicks the ever-loving bejesus out of the Deceiver shard.
I am still laughing at the fact that the T-Rex was a setup and a payoff because it shows up at the end.
Yeah, and literally the Farseer, who is like Mind Shackle Scarab control, basically psychically projects into Trazeen's mind. This world sings for your blood, Trazeen. I told you that 10,000 years ago. You had better make our sacrifice worth it, as they charge the Catan on her Carnosaur, because they're Exodites. So yeah, it is really good. And while I don't think the lore revelations it drops are massive, it is a really good read, and a really different read to a lot of 40k literature that takes itself really, really seriously.
Hooray!
You said
close spoilers.
You said earlier that there was a Necron Lord who refused the biotransference. I always was an impression that every single one went through with biotransference, whether they wanted to or not, and those who didn't want to go through were dragged kicking and screaming.
Orican was one of them. But the Deceiver planted that story, so that there was no such lord.
Right, okay.
It was to give the Necrontyr a set. It would be weird to the Necrontyr if everyone went along with it quietly. So it gave them someone to remember, a figurehead to rally round, and so much. So it made it more real, even though it was actually fake.
Right, got it, yeah.
So there was no such Necrontyr. Orican was one of them, dragged kicking and streaming. By Trazeen, apparently, under the influence of the command protocols. And Trazeen's like, I didn't remember that. In which case, I'm sorry. And it's like it's the most genuinely human moment you get out of either of them.
Oops.
Also, Necron plays last for decades. Like, they have plays of the War in Heaven, and it lasts for decades. Because they have so much time on their hands. Anyway, close spoilers for the Infinite and the Divine. Welcome back, people.
Spoilers.
Man, I can't believe that T-Rex managed to blow up an entire planet.
No comment. Right. Where are we?
It's not as bad as that space wolf who blew up an entire continent with just a grenade. No, I won't stop going on about that, because it was stupid. I don't care if Dan Abbott wrote the story, it was stupid as fuck. Yes, really.
I missed that one.
It was in the comic Lone Wolves. And it was... That one scene was so dumb. Anyway.
Well, I guess when you write a lot of good stuff, you gotta have something that balances it out.
Yeah.
So what's next on our 40k agenda? Or Warhammer agenda?
I think we've got through I've got through my book, and Rem's got through his book, so...
I didn't know we were doing a book club, or I would have read something too.
Oh. Have you read anything recently?
I did find a book. It has nothing to do with 40k, but it's almost 100 years old, and it talks about the jurisdiction in New York.
Huh.
It's actually randomly very interesting.
Yeah, history is cool. It is one of those subjects that I would have done it at A-level, but it was just the wrong topics at A-level. It was all about Tsarist Russia. Like, I don't care about Tsarist Russia. I didn't care, so I didn't take that subject at A-level. I kind of regret it in some ways.
Fair enough.
I mean, it's at least interesting to hear how it's been like 100 years ago. You're like, has anything changed? If it has, why? Or how? Or why is it different? I don't know. But that's about it for my book reading experience.
That's fair enough. Right, what time are we? Oh, blimey, heck, the time's gone flying by. Shall we do some questions, Remleiz?
Sure, why not? If you could have a model made for a Chaos Legion that isn't Death Guard or Black Legion, who would it be and why?
I mean, the Thousand Suns are sat right there.
Yeah, and they had a whole shit ton of models relatively recently, in fairness.
They did. Probably for me, I'd love to see unique models. I think the best way to go for unique models is probably either the Word Bearers or the World Eaters. Or maybe the Iron Warriors if you push
for the
it.
Night Lords. I like the spooky baddie boys.
Oh, they're a cool aesthetic, absolutely. Just in terms of doing something really unique with them, they already had a unique look. And...
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I don't know if there's as much room with them as there is to like create these unique, like Dark Apostle type characters or Berserker type characters. I don't know.
Hey! What about the Dark Angels? Lol. Sorry.
See, I was tempted to do that joke, but it was a little too low hanging of that fruit.
I know, but sometimes you just get lazy and don't want to reach all the way up, do you? So. Alright.
Wow!
What authority does Gilliman have over the Inquisition?
Total, I think.
Well, arguably, you could also say technically none, because they answered only to the Emperor. And he's not actually the Emperor, he's the Imperial Regent.
But
isn't he speaking for the Emperor?
That's only on a technical level, though.
It was like no one else is able to just be like, hey, I'm like his bloodline or anything.
Maybe I've got too much Crusader Kings on the brain, but the Regent rules in the stead of and speaks for the ruler if the ruler is incapacitated, which the Emperor clearly is. So it's kind of yes and no. Yeah, fair point.
So
it depends on which side of the coin you want to look at. It's like, how do you want to interpret the rules? Like, which way do you want to bend them? Kind of thing.
Yeah, because I can imagine
that's just how politics works.
Yeah, because I can imagine the Inquisitor will say, I speak with the word of the Lord Gilliman, and it will certainly snap some people into line. Others will say, the Lord Gilliman has no authority here. I speak with the Emperor's word. And so they'll probably use both, depending on what mood they're in.
It sounds more like they would say, I speak for Gilliman when it's convenient for them. And then they'll say, I speak for the Emperor when it's not convenient to listen to the Gilliman.
And then someone says, I speak for Malcador. Nope, that's it. Nope.
Because he's a toasted skeleton. You can't tell between his skeleton.
He's made of marshmallows. Sorry. Well, we have to cut that.
I'll bleep over it. It'll be funnier. Because the comments will think you said something absolutely obscene. It will be funnier if I bleep over it.
Oh, it would be the Frederick thing all over again.
Oh my goodness. Don't even remind me.
I still get questions asking what the hell was that, and I refuse to answer them.
All I have to say is
I
that
refuse.
we were there the day that Frederick broke the Fresh Sorcerer.
Yeah.
It was a legendary moment.
Yeah.
It truly was. When Guilliman fought Magnus and the Thousand Sons during his final trip to Terra on Luna, could it be argued that that was the furthest a traitor legion has made it since the Siege of Terra?
Since the heresy? Yeah, probably.
I mean,
Wait, does that include like when sometimes, say like the Thousand Sons or some traitor legion manages to get like tiny footholds?
I mean, well, technically, there was a thing in the first Watchers of the Throne series. There were some Iron Warriors in the Imperial Palace that were like dragged there and put there for the Blood Games.
Yeah, but that's not an assault force. That's prisoners, isn't it?
No. Yeah, but they've still got their weapons and stuff, so...
I think in terms of an assault on Terra, I think the Battle of Luna is the closest that they've been since the heresy, and then of course there was the second Battle of Terra that ended disastrously.
I just want to say, like, how good do you think Abaddon must feel, considering the fact like, hey, I've got nowhere near Terra, but fucking Magnus was on the fucking moon.
And he would have been on Terra itself if the Sadduceer hadn't noticed that the last second and jumped out a stop early.
Wait, no, Magnus, we just talked about how Magnus was... I mean, oh wait, that's spoilers. But
how he was made of marshmallows.
Yeah, he was making marshmallows. Oh my goodness, that does not make any sense out of context.
I have a horrid feeling that someone's going to take that like Thousand Sons Prospero album by what's the name of that group?
Contradiction.
That's it, like Contradiction, and just add in the do at inappropriate places now after what we said today. Oh boy. Anyway, moving on.
I'm sorry. Okay.
What would happen if sorry. Right. What would happen if Guilliman finds out that the Inquisition is trying to destroy the Celestial Lions due to the Lions pissing the Inquisition off? Would Guilliman just sit there or do something about it?
He has way, way, way bigger priorities right now.
Yeah. Leave it for the Emperor's Spears to sort out, fuck him. Something outside the river, I don't give a fuck. Actually, leave it. That's Dante's territory. It's his job to sort that out, not mine. Dante's the regent of Imperium Nihilus. After all, it's his job to look after that side of the galaxy.
Why does the Emperor have both a spear and a sword?
Because he also has a claw.
He only has 2 hands!
And probably a shield.
And a pistol, apparently.
Is he an octopus?
Yes.
He's the Emperor.
He's a psychic octopus made of marshmallows. This is going to be the next running gag for at least the rest of this episode now, you do realise that.
Yeah, every guest we're going to have for the next, 6 episodes is going to be like, what? So, apologies to our next 6 or 7 guests for confusing you in advance.
I am not sorry.
Neither is Ram.
Okay. What are your thoughts on the Watchers in the Dark being old ones hiding from the Catan, and the beast at Caliban's core, the Ouroboros, is an imprisoned Catan from the War in Heaven?
What?
I'm gonna be honest, my brain just shut off when you started saying words.
The old ones became the Watchers in the... No. Sorry.
Yeah, I find that unlikely, personally.
A Catan shard at the heart of Caliban being the beast of Caliban, and maybe... Okay, there may be a shred of a chance of that. But they've already done it once with the Void Dragon, I think. So I don't think they'd do it twice.
Yeah, it's a bit of a stretch.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, it's better than the Orc theory that the old ones devolved into snotlings.
That's just silly and a little insulting.
That's the Orc theory, is that the old ones were so weak, as the Brain Boys were so weak that they developed the Orcs and Gretchen to protect them. And over time they just devolved into snotlings.
And they devolved into snotlings because the Orcs ate the brain-making smarter fungus. Because the Brain Boys ate a special breed of fungus which gave them their intelligence, then the Orcs ate it, and since the Snotlings couldn't eat it, they devolved into Snotlings.
Is this real?
That's what it is in Rogue Trader, at the very least. It has been referenced a few times, but that was 100% canon in the olden days.
Yeah, they haven't reinforced the middle
Rogue
bit.
Trader's different.
Say that again, sorry?
Rogue Trader's different.
Yes.
They haven't reinforced the fungus devolution line. They have gone back to the theory of, hey, the Brain Boys became the Snotlings as they became sort of like weaker and weaker, and the Orcs became stronger and stronger, or something like that. It's an old Runt Herd story, so put no faith in it.
Right. Let's see. Quite a few, actually. Would you like to see a Necron book starring Nemesis Zandrek and Vanguard Oberon? We do. It's called Seven, I think.
Yeah, by Nate
I
Crowley.
see a Necron
Yeah.
dabbing.
It's a short, but it does exist.
Yeah.
Then again, I suppose War in the Museum was a short, and it became The Infinite and the Divine.
No.
So, yeah, by all means, give Nate
Seven
Crowley
was a
that.
novella. Seven was a novella rather than a short story.
Ah, yes, it was. You're right. It was part of the novella series. You are correct.
Yeah.
But
You say novella, but I think telenovela. But those are very long.
I wouldn't be opposed to a Zandrek Oberon novel at some point if Nate Crowley fancies it. And with the success of The Infinite and the Divine in terms of fan response, can't talk about sales because I don't know how. I know it sold out very well, but I don't know how many units it was actually given in the first place. So I think there's an appetite there for more Necron stories. So by all means, if Nate Crowley wants it, go for it.
You could also argue there's still, a huge appetite for more Orc stories, considering that Brutal Cunning sold out apparently within a few hours.
More Orcs, more Tau, more Necrons, more Eldar, more Xenos stories, please. If there's because hopefully now GW, if they're doing these Xenos novels and the fans are lapping it up and lavishing it with praise, hopefully that will show, hey, maybe there is enough of a market that we can start commissioning some actual Xenos novels again, which would be nice.
Variety is the spicy.
Fun enough, I do remember one thing that Gav Forpatch said a while back, because obviously he's going to be working on the third Path of the Inari series soon. Apparently, after he's done that, he's going to go back to the Phoenix Lord series. Because he's done Asuma and he's done James R, so he's going to work on the next Phoenix Lord novel after that.
That would be cool. Actually, I think the Luther novel's out next week, isn't it? So get your pre-order clicks ready for that.
And speaking
sell out in 5 minutes.
And speaking of novellas, I still can't wait until the fucking Soul Drinker novel comes out. Or novella, sorry. It's like Primaris Soul Drinkers, yes!
Yeah.
Wait, there's gonna be more Soul Drinkers?
Did you not hear about that?
No, I read all the oldie books.
Yeah, there's a new novella coming out by the same author, Ben Counter.
What?
Yeah, there you go.
What? Is my Spider Boy gonna be back though?
Probably not, no. It's a brand new chapter with the old Soul Drinkers name and iconography. And it's like, hey, the old Soul Drinkers, they had the shit kicked out of them pretty badly by karma. Will this new chapter have the same shit happen to them? Probably.
Let's see how poorly things go.
I mean, you gotta love that last bit of the synopsis, after all, the universe has never been kind to the Soul Drinkers.
Yeah. Aw.
I mean, it's still a step down from being the Lamenters, but...
Nah, Soul Drinkers are better than
the
Lamenters.
Almost too depressing to write about.
Soul Drinkers are more interesting than the Lamenters by far.
Interesting, yes. Unlucky and screwed by the universe, no. Actually, this is just all this talk of Imperial versus Xenos stuff just reminded me of something I saw today on Twitter, which is a video of the Red Dwarf, does anyone want any toast scene?
No.
So there's a scene in Red Dwarf where there is a sentient device, and all it can ask for is, does anyone want any toast? Toast? Do you want toast? No. And I've forgotten his name. I want to say it's Ray Charles, but I know he's not Ray Charles. What's his name? Guy who used to host Robot Wars. What's his name?
Dara O'Brien?
No, before that.
Jeremy Clarkson.
Back in 2002.
Oh.
Scouse bloke.
Craig Charles.
Craig Charles. There we go, not Ray Charles. Craig Charles is no, I don't want any toast. He doesn't want any toast. No bread, products, no crumpets, butter, jam, anything. It's okay. It was that, but like with text saying about Primaris instead. So, so I was just like, yeah, I found this very, very funny because it just feels like Primaris overload, and I kind of read it in the Valrak voice, which was probably not what I should have done. I apologise to Valrak for that.
So did you hear we're getting Primaris Soul Drinkers? Sorry.
It's fine.
So about more Primaris.
Yeah.
I mean, they did just kind of... It's the new invention of theirs, I guess. So they're like, look, guys, please buy our medals.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. And, oh my god, okay, that's just creepy. God damn it. So I made a mistake of briefly looking on Twitter. I know, that's a joke in itself. Just saw from the Sonic the Hedgehog Twitter account, they're posting a bloody Tails doll thing for Halloween. It's like, why would you do that? Why would you post a Tails doll?
Oh, it's in the style. It's in the style of oh my gosh, Goosebumps. Yeah.
Yeah, but the text that accompanies it, spoiler, Tails dies at the end. It's like, Jesus Christ.
Hey, as a kid, I would have given a lot to get a Tails doll.
I just want to say, I love how the Sonic Twitter is just basically a massive shit poster. Even though it's the official account and it's a massive shit poster, I fucking love it. Anyway,
it is pretty great.
Going back to questions. Why do some Primarchs wear Terminator armor? Isn't it a bit pointless? Because Terminator armor is awesome.
Accurate.
Because it's more armor. Oh.
I mean, they don't need it. They really don't need it.
Yeah, but they want it.
So surprise, yeah. I'm now a tank.
Needs it is Angron. Say again?
So surprise, I'm now a tank.
Yeah, Perturabo and the Logos armor.
Imagine Perturabo going around going, beep, beep, I'm a tank. Meow.
I mean, his armor could literally interface with his pet Shadow Sword, so...
So he does go beep, beep, I'm a tank, okay.
Are you telling me it's got Bluetooth?
No, I swear, I think I remember this right. He could, in the Heresy game, Perturabo can take a command tank like Shadow Sword because his armor can interface with it.
Nice.
Wait, so are you saying that he can get into the tank, or he's just like sitting on the top of the tank and then like
he is the tank,
like a little RC?
I forget how exactly.
I am become tank.
Something saying I am the table. I wonder how many people are going to get that reference.
That just makes me think of the Chop Suey song replaced with table.
What? Table, 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 table.
Table, 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 table.
Marshmallow.
Oh no.
So now it's time for the table marshmallow song.
When angels deserve to table.
Right. Who are your favourite characters that are non-augmented humans from 30k or 40k?
Non-augmented... There is literally no actual human that isn't just a basic guardsman that hasn't got augments at this point.
Malkador?
Does Gideon Ravener count?
Well, he is like... He's in that hover wheelchair. He's in a hover wheelchair, though, so he's got the hover wheelchair, though, hasn't he?
It depends on your definition of augment.
Wait, I was gonna say, it's not really augmented. He's basically just, like, duct taped to, like, a machine that keeps him alive, and also kind of, like...
That's kind of an augmentation. Because it's not his natural body, though, is it?
Yeah, same as, like, Strachan and Yarrick and stuff. It's like, they're still humans, but they've been massively augmented. Like, Yarrick's had a power claw hardwired on and has got an evil laser eye, and Strachan lost half his body to a bloody shark.
And Gorn's got 2 bionic eyes.
Yeah, so probably, to be fair, in terms of non-augments, you do kind of end up landing on Malkador, don't you? Even though his humanity is up for debate if he's not a perpetual.
But I mean, at this point, isn't just everybody kind of augmented then?
Yeah, exactly. That's
okay?
the problem.
I mean, like, what's the difference? Everybody's augmented.
Trying to think who else is there. But what other major non-augmented characters were there? Because you had Kirill Cinderman.
What about Greyfax?
She's got bionic eye, hasn't she?
And Mineshackle Scarabs.
Yeah, every single Tech Priest character is augmented in some way.
Celestine?
Because they're
It's
like
not an
half robot.
augment, it's an ascension.
But is she really human? But is she still
is a
human,
form of
though?
augmentation.
Is
No,
she-
she's a demon. Yeah, fair point.
Yeah, God, who actually would there be who isn't augmented? Who is there?
Ollie Pius?
Was Eisenhorn?
I can't remember if Eisenhorn actually had any
His
augments.
model doesn't scream augments.
But that was when he was younger, though, because he... What about when he was older?
I mean, I like younger versions. So younger version would be like my favorite one.
What Colonel Schaefer?
He's been kept alive by the tech priest of the Inquisition for way far longer than he should.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Bloody hell.
Creed?
Capius Cain.
Caiaphas Cain's not a bad shout.
Mm.
Or Gaunt, I suppose.
No, Gaunt's augmented. He's got bionic eyes.
Oh, never mind.
Both his eyes are mechanical, because he lost them in a fight.
Oops.
So he had them replaced with augments.
Severina Rain,
So
I guess. I don't think she has any augments yet.
I don't know enough about her to pick her, but yeah, she is a good call.
Can't.
So we got 2 people.
Yeah, but I think what they meant is non-space marine, but like non-augmented is really hard to actually narrow down.
Yeah.
I think that's the definition of overthinking it.
Well, that's what we do on this show. We overanalyze and overthink everything. That's why spoiler sections take a half hour at a time. Literally, the viewers of this episode was like, okay, I don't want spoilers for that, skip. I don't want spoilers for that, skip. Right, hang on, an hour just passed.
Yeah.
That's literally, I think, how this episode has gone.
I missed half of the podcast. Oh, boy.
Well, you could always say, Gilliman's stepmom. The one who called Kurz a very naughty boy.
How is she still alive?
She's not.
then?
She's dead now.
This
Oh!
was Heresy era.
Spoilers!
It's not really spoilers. 10,000 years have passed.
I think it's
Spoilers.
from, is it from Unremembered Empire, that?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's about 5 years old at this point, I think. Is it
Yeah.
5? I think it
Probably.
predates the podcast, so...
I think it might be older than that. I think Unremembered Empire is 2009.
I guess you could say the age of this book is unremembered.
2014. 6 years.
6 years. Okay, I wasn't far off.
Or 6.5, technically.
Alright, Captain Pedant. I know I can't talk about being a pedant, but here we are.
Are you ready, kids? Aye, aye, Captain! Sorry.
Really? That's where you took that?
I can't hear you! I, choked doing that, sorry.
Oh, God. Right, next question.
It's like, who lives in a pineapple under the sea? Malaysian
Not
Airlines
what
193.
I meant.
Right, When no one's around, do you think Gilliman holds up the Emperor's sword and yells, I have the power?
No.
Do you understand the reference?
I was trying to think of, a Castle Grayskull joke, and I couldn't.
Zach, do you understand the reference?
I think I do.
You think?
I gave you a hint!
Yeah, I think it is to do with, is it He-Man?
Hooray!
Yes.
They got it right.
I thought that was the reference, but I wasn't 100%. Alright, I'm young. Get over it. Move on.
Pretty sure we're the same age.
Okay, I'm uncultured then.
Also, Orca can die in a fire.
No.
Seriously, Orco, fucking annoying little shit.
I liked Orko.
That's a lie. No one liked
Fight me in the
Orco.
parking lot.
Oh, it's on now.
It's on now. BRB, be there across the ocean in 12 hours.
Oh, Dusty Rose like, oh, it's on like Donkey Kong. He got a rubber shark. He got a bicycle. Sorry. So I'm getting all these references out early.
Yes, because we know things that you don't, viewers.
Ah. Right. If the Exorcists are a successor chapter of the Grey Knights, why are they always listed under an unknown founding? Because their specific founding is technically unknown, but it's rumoured to be 13th. Now, your founding doesn't necessarily mean, if you're an unknown founding, it doesn't necessarily mean that your gene seed is unknown. It's just that when you were created is unknown.
Yeah, and to be honest, if it was a successor to the Grey Knights, they would just sneak it in somewhere unofficially anyway to, hide the fact that the Grey Knights exist.
Yeah, I mean, it was confirmed outright in the story Headhunted, which is one of the Deathwatch stories by Steve Parker.
Yes.
Because it says, not even the Grey Knights from whose seed Rolf's chapter had been born. Or words to that effect.
Everyone knows they're descended from the Grey Knights, but in terms of the imperial bureaucracy, they would want to keep the Grey Knights a secret from the common citizenry. Ergo, they would just sneak them in somewhere.
I mean, at that point, don't they usually just say they're from, Ultramarines?
But then that's something that can be checked by the Mechanicus or whatever.
So, oops, I accidentally dropped the records into this paper shredder. Oh no, clumsy me, Butterfingers.
Whoops, I just dropped coffee all over the shredding machine, which shredded the paper.
Oops,
so
just drop that menial into a furnace is pretty much how it would probably go.
That just reminds me from Hollow Mountains, when they got all this truckload full of obese pigs and they just chuck them into a giant blender to make paper.
What?
Sorry, not paper. Sorry, vellum. Same thing, pretty much. Just
welcome to Warhammer 40,000, ladies and gentlemen. This is where we are.
People don't eat
into the grinders?
People don't eat pigs in 40k anymore. They use pigs exclusively for making paper. And cows have gone extinct.
Wait, but is it actual paper, or is it
it's
parchment.
Parchment, vellum.
How do you make that out of a pig?
Don't ask.
Basically, vellum's a paper that's made out of leather, essentially.
Really?
Yeah.
Just don't question it. When it comes to the Imperium, there is a point where you just say stop questioning and move on.
Oh, like the old fancy kind.
Yeah, because it's more durable than actual paper.
Yes, and the Imperium never heard of backing things up to the cloud, apparently. Everything is written down.
No, there's a reason they don't back up to the cloud, because they don't trust it.
I know why. But
well, that and the cloud has a mind of its own, and maybe it doesn't want to give you that information.
It's an abominable intelligence. Destroy it.
The cloud is heresy.
The cloud is heresy.
Right, just next to load-bearing walls.
Yeah, I still can't believe that's actually canon.
I just choked there for a second. I'm dying.
I know.
See, and all it took was the Emperor bumping into a war at one time. Question for the book Infinite and Divine. It's not really a spoiler, I don't think. It just says, in the book there are female Necrons. Is this the first time they were shown in lore? No.
I don't think so. I can't think of another source, but I'm sure you can.
There's two in Devourer. There's a female Cryptic and a female Ferak in Devourer. And there's also a female Tomb Lord in Wild Rider.
How are they female if they're robots?
They were female before they were robots.
Oh.
So, basically.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
It's not like the Transformer thing where they're like, suddenly there are females. And you're like, but wait.
No, the Necrontyr had their souls ripped out and transferred into metallic bodies, so it makes sense. Well, I say sense, this is the Catan we're talking about, and they make no sense. There is a sense of logic.
This is 40k we're talking about, nothing makes sense.
Yeah, fair point. But there is a reason why female Necrontyr would have become female Necrons, yes.
Okay.
Good enough reason.
Okay, I'm wondering what sparked this question off, because no joke, we've had 3 or 4 questions all asking if the Watchers in the Dark are the old ones. So I'm wondering, where the hell has this all come from? There must have been something to inspire this.
Yeah, because it hasn't come from me.
It's not come from me, no.
It was me!
Damn you and your marshmallows.
Has anyone done a Dark Angels video recently?
It could be a Reddit theory that's popped up.
Yeah,
No.
we can't put it past Reddit because Reddit is Reddit is Reddit.
Do you remember that time there was that Reddit theory, where people were saying that, oh yeah, the Black Templars are the Second Legion? It's like, no, mate, they really aren't.
What's Voldemort been doing of late?
He did a video on Strachan recently, I think.
Strachan, Amrakir, Met Guns, Ragnar, Catan. Nope, it wouldn't be anything in there. Did Oculus do a Dark Angels video the other day?
He did, yes. Heresy era stuff, yeah.
Yeah, that wouldn't have anything. He wouldn't have gone on to talk about. No, that's about tactics and structure, origins and history. No, that won't talk about the. Yeah, I'm not sure where that's come from. Let us know in comments. Where did you see that? Because assumedly it's probably from Reddit. And
yeah,
Reddit is the deceiver. Be cautious of Reddit.
In this case, yes.
Someone asking if there's no biological sexes in Necron tier, how do they reproduce? They do have biological sexes, yeah, so that's that out of the window.
We already discussed
I
that.
know. Right, bloody internet being slow. Right.
See, I'm so good that I ask questions before the questions are asked.
How are we doing time-wise?
We are just shy of 2 hours, about 1 hour 55.
Right, so we've probably got time for one more, okay. During the events of Fear to Tread, it seems that the forces of Slaanesh and Khorne both decided to have the Ninth Legion fall under their sway. Obviously, Khorne has made numerous attempts since, but has the forces of Slaanesh ever made any other attempts at tempting the Sons of the Angel? Has Kyrus the Perverse made any other appearances?
Not to my knowledge. The only other time I can think of a Blood Angel's derivative being tempted is that whole Tzeentch demon of the Black Rage.
Oh, the Archaea Rebellion. No. That's the Blood Drinkers thing, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the only time I can think of demons and the Blood Angels really getting involved. And yes, you are right about the Archaea insurrection. That's a good point. I hadn't thought of that.
But again, that was Tzeentch, not Slaanesh.
Yeah, the nearest that Slaanesh has come is Fabius Bile, I guess.
And even then, that's stretching it.
Yeah, and that's really, really stretching it. So, no, I don't think it's actually come up again. Probably because the Blood Angels are no longer really so, preening in perfection as they used to be, and they've got more angry, and so it's just become Khorne's problem.
But then again,
I was gonna say, they don't. That's not compatible with their shtick.
They also have, the officer that's an officer whose sole purpose is to basically be an arts teacher.
Who's that?
In the Blood Angels, is in Dante's novel, when Dante was first inducted into the Legion, the first things they did, instead, it wasn't combat training when they were inducted. It's like, hello, here's the art room. Make some art.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. I didn't read that book.
Yeah, because the whole point of having basically the art teacher was basically a way to master their passions. So basically, instead of having it go towards the Red First or the Black Rage, to channel their passions into their art.
Okay, so it's basically therapy for their uncontrolled rage.
It's
They're teaching them coping mechanisms. That's actually kind of clever.
Preventative therapy, yeah.
I could see how Slaanesh could have a go at that, but yeah, there's been no confirmation that that's happened, I suppose.
I'm trying to think what the actual title.
I still don't, because the art part doesn't.
Okay.
It's not super duper.
The rank is known as the Master of Artistry. That's the position. I know. Master of Artistry is the purpose of which is to teach the value of art to chapters fresh influx of neophytes. It's basically the reasoning behind this is to teach these new recruits, in addition to the warrior's virtues, a series of traits known as the Angel's Graces: focus, humility, mercy, restraint, and forgiveness. And such arts can range from carving sculptures from marble, painting on canvas, calligraphy, or poetry.
I suppose that is a very good anti-Slaanesh mechanism. in some ways. All of those things are as
It's all about
anti-Slanesh as it comes.
It's all about control. Self-control.
Right, so I think that'll be it then, given the time.
Yes, I think so.
Doot-doot-doot.
Just kick my desk out.
Don't kick your desk, that's a very bad thing to do.
Reb, do the outro, just get my desk out.
How did you kick the desk? What did you do?
Don't ask. Swung the chair, kick the desk. Ow. Right, anyway, we're covered. Anyway, thank you everyone for watching episode 108 of Adeptus Podcastus. Thank you very much to Skruffers for joining us. It's been a pleasure having you back on the show. Hope you enjoyed yourself.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun. Thank you for having me back.
Pleasure to have you. Next time, Rem, do we want to spoil? I know it's Block Black Library. Do we want to spoil next time?
Not yet, no.
All right, fair enough. But next time we have a very special guest joining us on the programme, someone new, which I think will be a very interesting conversation if you like references. There will be a lot of references. But it will be very fun. Make sure to leave us your questions in the comments below with the word question. And of course, if you did see any of the spoilers, there were timestamps if you want to go back and find the spoiler sections again. Just so you can go back over the nonsense that was discussed in both of those books because it was
And
very
all
good.
of the marshmallows.
Marshmallows, toasty and warm.
Quite.
Schmorge.
But anyway, in the meantime, thank you very much for watching. This has been Tactica Imperialis.
This has been Remleiz from 40k Theories.
And I existed today as Skruffers.
And we will see you all very, very soon. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.